Your Honor,
Yes.
Miss Alexis Charlemagne, she's at another location in the jail. So
Okay.
if at all possible, if we could do these females here first and do the men, and then I could get up to the other location and log on Zoom.
I'm sorry, what you were hearing in the background. Yes, Deputy, we will do it in that manner. I just pressed the button for this to go live on YouTube.
Yes, Your Honor.
So everyone should be aware that you're all now going to be on the internet. Okay, are we ready to begin?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is your first appearance hearing before the Magistrate Court of Clayton County. Mr. Romero.
Buenos días para todos. Estamos empezando el día de hoy la audiencia preliminar en el condado Clayton.
My name is Brad Gardner, and I'm a judge in this court.
Mi nombre es Brad Carter y yo soy el juez de este tribunal.
I'm not here to conduct a trial of your case or to take a plea in your case.
El día de hoy no estamos aquí para llevar a cabo un juicio o para aceptar su declaración ante los cargos.
I'm here to inform you of the charges that have been filed against you.
Estoy aquí para informarles cuáles son los cargos que se han presentado en contra suya.
To advise you of certain rights.
Para hacer la notificación de ciertos derechos.
To set bail on those offenses that I'm authorized to set bail.
Para fijar una fianza por los delitos por los cuales tengo autorización para fijar una fianza.
To schedule a preliminary hearing and to determine whether you require the assistance of an attorney.
Para programar la audiencia preliminar y para determinar también si es que necesita la ayuda de un abogado.
You have the right to remain silent and say nothing.
Usted tiene el derecho de permanecer en silencio y no decir absolutamente nada.
But should you give up this right, anything you say during this proceeding may be used against you if your case goes to trial.
Pero si usted desea hacer uso de ese derecho, cualquier cosa que diga a usted podrá ser utilizada en su contra en caso se llegue a la última instancia de un juicio.
So please don't discuss the facts of your case.
De manera que, por favor, no hable acerca de los hechos de su caso.
During this and all other proceedings, you have the following rights.
Durante este y todos los demás procedimientos, ustedes tienen los siguientes derechos.
The right to the presumption of innocence.
El derecho a la presunción de inocencia.
The right to indictment by a grand jury for most felonies or by accusation for misdemeanors.
El derecho a que el caso sea acusado por un gran jurado en caso de los delitos menores, así como también presentación del documento acusatorio para los delitos menores.
The right to a speedy and public trial by jury.
El derecho a un juicio con jurado sin demora y público.
The right to see, hear, and question witnesses who are called to testify against you.
Tiene el derecho de poder ver, cuestionar, hacer preguntas a todos los testigos que se presenten en contra suya.
The right to compel the attendance of witnesses to testify on your behalf.
Tiene el derecho a poder solicitar a la corte que ordene la presencia de testigos que puedan venirse a presentar ante el tribunal a dar su testimonio.
The right to testify on your own behalf or offer evidence in your own defense.
Tiene su derecho a poder dar su testimonio, así como también presentar su defensa.
The right to have an attorney represent you.
Tienen el derecho a poder ser representados por un abogado.
If you cannot afford an attorney, one can be appointed to represent you if you qualify.
Y si usted no cuenta con los recursos para contratar un abogado, si calificara para un abogado, se le asignaría un abogado de oficio.
Some of you will be allowed to post unrestricted bonds for your release from jail.
Algunos de ustedes podrán poner una fianza sin ninguna restricción para que puedan salir en libertad.
And these bonds may be posted by cash, commercial, or property.
Y estas fianzas pueden ser pagadas en efectivo o o también utilizando propiedades.
If you post a cash bond, someone will deliver the full amount of the bond and fees in cash to the sheriff's office.
Si desea poner una fianza en efectivo, entonces la persona encargada de pagar la fianza en efectivo hará la entrega respectiva en la oficina del sheriff.
The sheriff's office will hold the cash and return it at the end of the case.
Y la oficina del sheriff será quien mantenga la fianza y le será devuelta cuando el caso llegue a su culminación.
If you use a commercial bonding company, someone will have to pay a fee to the company for their service.
Si desea hacer uso de una fianza comercial, habrá que hacer un pago por un honorario, de manera que se está pagando por utilizar la fianza comercial.
The fee will not be returned.
Ese pago de honorario por una fianza comercial es un pago que no se devuelve.
I don't know what fee will be charged, but it's usually based on a percentage of the bond.
No sé exactamente cuál es el costo del honorario que se paga por una fianza comercial, pero eso dependerá del monto de la fianza y del cargo.
Finally, if you use property to post a bond, the property will need to have a net equity at least 3 times the total bond amount.
Y si desea utilizar una fianza a través de las propiedades, el valor de la equidad de la propiedad debe ser no menor a 3 veces la cantidad a ser pagada por la fianza.
Some of you will have special conditions on your bond that prohibit you from contacting certain people or going to certain places.
Algunos de ustedes quizás tengan algunas restricciones adjuntas con las fianzas. Una de las restricciones puede ser el que no tengan contacto con ciertas personas o que no visiten ciertos lugares.
This special condition will be provided to you on a separate form.
Esta condición especial se le entregará a usted en un formulario especial.
You will also be prohibited from contacting the victim while you are in jail.
También se le prohibirá tener cualquier tipo de contacto con la víctima mientras usted esté en la cárcel.
If you violate the court's order, your bond will be revoked and you could remain in jail until your trial.
Y si usted viola las condiciones de esta fianza, entonces la fianza queda revocada y podrá permanecer en la cárcel hasta el término de su caso.
You could also receive additional felony charges.
Y también podrá recibir cargos de delito mayor adicionales.
It is important to note that if someone is listed as a victim in your case, that person will not be allowed to post your bond.
Debe tener conocimiento que si existe alguna persona que figura como víctima en relación a su caso, esa persona que es la víctima no podrá pagar la fianza.
Some of you are charged with offenses for which this court is not authorized by law to set bail.
Alguno de ustedes quizás esté acusado de algún delito por el cual este tribunal no esté autorizado a poder emitir una fianza.
In this event, a bond hearing will be scheduled before a judge of the Superior Court of Clayton County, and you will be informed of that date.
En ese caso, su caso sería programado para una audiencia para determinar fianza en el Tribunal Superior del Condado Clayton. A usted se le informará de la fecha y hora de cuándo será fijada esa audiencia.
If you are currently on active probation, this court is not authorized to set bond at this time.
Si actualmente se encuentra usted en una condición de probatoria activa, este tribunal no está en condición de otorgar una fianza.
Whether bond is appropriate in your case will be reconsidered after your probation officer has had an opportunity to consider this new arrest.
Para que se pueda considerar una posible fianza al caso, el tribunal escucha al oficial de probatoria se para determinar si el tribunal podrá fijarle una fianza o no.
The purpose of a preliminary hearing is to determine whether there is sufficient evidence to support the allegations against you. Mr. Romero, it looks like you're
El
starting.
propósito de la audiencia preliminar es determinar si existe pruebas. Your Honor, can you hear me well?
You're starting to break up a little bit, Mr. Romero.
Yes, the signal is starting to break. Can you hear me well now?
Yes, sir. Would you just
Okay.
repeat the last sentence? The purpose of a preliminary hearing is to determine whether there is sufficient evidence to support the allegations against you.
Yes, Your Honor. El propósito de la audiencia preliminar es determinar si existen pruebas suficientes que puedan sustentar los cargos presentados en su contra.
The standard at this stage is very low.
El estándar en este punto es bastante bajo.
A judge determining whether a charge goes forward at this stage only has to determine that it is possible that the crime occurred.
Para que un juez pueda determinar si el caso debe proceder con el curso, el juez solamente tiene que determinar si que es posible que los hechos realmente ocurrieron.
Everyone has the ability to waive their right to a preliminary hearing.
Todos ustedes tienen el derecho a poder renunciar a su derecho a que se lleve a cabo la audiencia preliminar.
However, you should speak to a lawyer first if you are unsure about whether it is appropriate to waive your preliminary hearing.
Sin embargo, es conveniente que primero hable con un abogado para poder tomar la decisión de si es conveniente que usted renuncie a su derecho de tener la audiencia preliminar.
If you post bond, your preliminary hearing is automatically waived.
Si usted sale en libertad bajo fianza, entonces su audiencia preliminar queda automáticamente aplazada.
You will receive notice at the address you give of your next court date.
Usted recibirá en ese caso una notificación por parte del tribunal de cuándo será su siguiente audiencia y la notificación la recibirá a la dirección que usted nos ha proporcionado.
Finally, I need everyone to raise their right hand.
Finalmente, deseo que todos ustedes, por favor, levanten su mano derecha.
Do you swear or affirm that any statements you make during this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Todos ustedes juran o afirman solemnemente que el testimonio que darán en este procedimiento será la verdad, toda la verdad y nada más que la verdad bajo el amparo de Dios.
Okay. We're going to begin. Is it Juan Bell Jamar? Or Juan Jamar Bell? Or Jamar Juan Bell? Is it Mr. Bell that we're dealing with on the men's side?
Bill for
The interpreter?
Your Honor, is Juan Vázquez Miranda, position number 33, the one that I believe needs the interpreter.
I don't have my thing organized that way. Would you spell the last name, Mr. Romero?
Sure. VAZQUEZ YYYYMMDD.
Okay.
Vasquez Miranda.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Vasquez Miranda. Sir, can you hear and understand the interpreter?
Señor, ¿usted puede escuchar y entender al intérprete?
Sí,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez Miranda, you're charged with 1 count of driving on a suspended license.
Señor Vázquez Miranda, a usted se le ha puesto un cargo de manejar con la licencia suspendida.
The bond is going to be set at $1,500 for this offense.
La fianza va a ser fijada en este caso en la cantidad de $1,500.
sí,
Yes.
You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for April 20th at 8:30 in the morning.
Su audiencia preliminar será fijada para el día 20 de abril a las 8:30 de la mañana.
It'll be over a Zoom hearing like we're having here today, but that date will be waived upon your bonding out.
La audiencia del día 20 de abril se va a llevar a cabo a través de una conferencia Zoom, así como lo estamos haciendo en este momento. Pero si usted sale en libertad bajo fianza, entonces ya no se llevará a cabo la audiencia preliminar del día 20 de abril.
sí.
Yes.
Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
¿Quisiera usted que yo pueda ver la posibilidad de si usted califica para que se le asigne un abogado?
No, pues si es necesario el pago y no es necesario el abogado, pues hacer el pago.
If I have to make a payment, and if it is not necessary to have an attorney, then I will not have an attorney.
Okay, you have the right to have a lawyer represent you on this charge. If you do not want a lawyer to represent you, I will not appoint a lawyer.
Señor, usted tiene el derecho a ser representado por un abogado en este procedimiento, pero si usted no desea tener abogado, entonces no le voy a asignar un abogado.
Ok.
Okay.
So are you going to represent yourself, Mr. Vasquez Miranda, or are you going to hire your own lawyer?
Señor Vázquez Miranda, entonces, ¿usted se va a representar a sí mismo o usted va a contratar su propio abogado?
No, pues yo solo si no es necesario el abogado.
I will represent myself if the attorney is not necessary.
Okay. I'm going to try to ask it a different way. Whether you believe a lawyer is necessary or not is totally up to you. So I am not going to make that determination as to whether a lawyer is necessary or not. You have the right to a lawyer.
Señor, se lo voy a explicar de otra manera.
Sí,
Usted tiene el derecho a tener un abogado, pero si usted decide representarse a sí mismo, esa es una decisión que usted mismo toma. Y si toma la decisión de representarse a sí mismo, entonces yo ya no puedo interferir para poder darle un abogado.
oh, pues entonces si usted me va a ayudar con un abogado, pues está bien.
You know, the interpreter is going to ask the defendant to repeat the answer.
Okay.
Señor, ¿puede repetir lo que dijo?
Que si usted me puede ayudar con el abogado, pues está bien.
If you are going to help me with the attorney, then it will be all right.
Okay. You qualify, Mr. Vasquez Miranda. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you.
Señor, entonces como usted sí califica para tener un abogado, le voy a asignar un abogado.
Ok, está bien.
Okay, that's all right.
Do you have any questions for me, sir?
¿Tiene usted alguna pregunta que hacerme, señor?
Una pregunta para hacer el pago, ¿cómo lo puedo hacer?
One question regarding the payment of the bond. How can I make the payment of the bond?
Either pay the entire amount to the sheriff's department and that money will be returned to you.
Usted puede pagar toda la cantidad de la fianza, que es de $1,500. Esa cantidad la tiene que pagar a la oficina del sheriff. Y esa cantidad, una vez que termine su caso, se le devuelve a usted.
Or you can use one of the bonding companies that are authorized to post bonds in this county.
O la otra manera, puede hacer uso usted de alguna de las compañías fiancistas que están autorizadas para pagar la fianza en este condado.
You will have to pay a fee to that bonding company that I don't know what they will charge.
Si desea utilizar una compañía fiancista, entonces usted tendría que pagarles a ellos un costo que yo no sé cuál es el costo que ellos cobran.
No,
That fee will not be returned to you.
Pero ese costo que le paga usted a la compañía fiancista no se le devuelve a usted.
Or you can use property, but the property will have to have a value of at least 3 times the bond amount.
También puede hacer uso de propiedades que usted pueda tener, pero le recuerdo que el valor equitativo de la propiedad debe ser por lo menos 3 veces el valor de la fianza.
Do you understand that, sir?
¿Entiende usted eso, señor?
sí, pero no ocupo eso.
Señor, ¿entiende usted eso?
Sí. Sí,
Yes, I understand. Yes, I understand.
Okay, you're free to go back, Mr. Vasquez Miranda.
Señor Vázquez Miranda, ya puede regresar usted a su sitio.
Thank you, Mr. Romero. You have a good day.
Oh, thank you, Your Honor. You too. Bye-bye.
All right, let's deal with Mr. Render next. Mr. Render, I would normally address you during this proceeding, but you have an attorney here representing you, Mr. Steele. So I will address my statements and conversation to Mr. Steele. You have to be aware that you're not going to have an opportunity to speak to Mr. Steele in a private setting. So anything you say can be heard by everyone during this proceeding. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Steele, I have Mr. Render here. He's charged 1 count of battery. I've set a $5,000 bond on this. And I've placed a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from Tijuana McCune. But I'll hear from you, sir, as to anything that you want to address the court as it relates to Mr. Render and the bond.
Your Honor, and it's a pleasure appearing before you and good seeing you, sir, as always. And good morning, Mr. Render. Your Honor, a $5,000 bond is fine. If the court can do a unsecured bond, that would be appreciative if the court would consider same. In addition, if there can be no violent contact, the two of them share a child, is my understanding. Other than that, Your Honor, I know Mr. Render, he will appear for court and we will fight the case.
Okay. The bond currently, he's going to have to make the bond in the 3 manners that we discussed, or I discussed earlier, where it's either he pays the full amount to the sheriff's department, or it goes through a bonding company, or he uses property. The no violent contact is something that has been a point of discussion within our office. And what I would encourage for Mr. Render is that if the victim in this particular case, if she's not fearful of Mr. Render, that the manner that we're dealing with it now is to contact the solicitor's office, for her to contact the solicitor's office and ask for this condition to be lifted, and that they will do so. So it will be lifted entirely, but it's something where, because of the quick turnaround now, they don't, it's kind of like trying to figure some of this stuff out. So right now it's a stay away provision until the alleged victim asks for it to be removed, and it will be removed. So he'll be able to go back home with her.
I'll take care of it, Your Honor. That makes sense.
Okay, there's
Understood.
going to be a preliminary hearing date set for April 20th, but that date is going to get waived upon Mr. Render bonding out, and he'll receive a new court date in the mail.
We understand, Your Honor.
Okay, is there anything else, Mr. Steele?
No, Your Honor, just such good seeing you. Thank you for everything.
It's good seeing you too, sir. Have a good day.
You too. May I be excused, Your Honor?
Yes, yes, sir. And Mr. Render may go back. Mr. Moran for Ms. Jackson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so this is going to be a tough one, Mr. Moran. Of course, I review this stuff beforehand, and on the aggravated assault and terroristic threats or acts and reckless conduct, I've currently denied bond, but I'm willing to hear from you as it relates to Ms. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, this is kind of a part two in respect to this case. Ms. Jackson was arrested in the same incident for a DUI charge. That arrest was around 1:00 a.m. on February 28th, last Sunday.
Okay.
And she made bond on that. The circumstances of this, let me give just the court just a brief bio on her. She's 31 years of age. She has no prior felony or misdemeanor convictions whatsoever. She, until very recently, was gainfully employed. She worked as a sales rep with Advantage Solutions, was laid off recently because of the pandemic, has a job prospect. Before that, she worked with Boar's Head as a sales rep for almost 2 years in Gwinnett County. She has 3 minor children, Your Honor. Those children reside with her. She's the sole provider for those children. Their ages 11, 9, and 8. She lives, if I can give the court her address, it's at 3250 Sweetwater Road, apartment 1720. That's in Lawrenceville, 30044. Her mother is down here, Ms. Gaines Williams, presently caring for these children. Miss Jackson surrendered voluntarily again last night around 6 o'clock. With respect to the statutory criteria, there's no indication that she's a fight risk, that she is a risk to reoffend or to influence or intimidate anybody or interfere with the administration of justice. The birth or absence of any prior record, Judge, I think speaks pretty loudly to those specific criteria. This case is an incident that I haven't seen. I've seen the DUI report, Judge, and I've spoken with one of the officers involved, as well as having received a call this morning, an unsolicited call from a gentleman by the name of Jeffrey Chapman, who was an occupant of the car. This was the short version is that Miss Jackson and 3 other individuals, those other 3 are the alleged victims in this case, had been drinking. I think there's an indication that she was intoxicated. She had pulled over on the highway and asked the occupants to get out. They did. Another vehicle, when she pulled over, apparently came up and struck her from behind. And Ms. Jackson is basically charged with these offenses, the terroristic threats and reckless conduct and ag assault charges. There was no injury to any person. There was no firearm that was discharged. And as I understand it, the allegation is that she made a threat to one of the occupants of the vehicle. Mr. Chapman says that he was so intoxicated he doesn't remember what his statement was to the police, but he says that there were no threats and that there was no brandishing or pointing of a firearm. That may fly in the face of the statements that were made. I don't know, because I don't have discovery, obviously, at this point. I would ask the court, because she is not a flight risk and she, I think, satisfies the other statutory criteria, to set a bond. And I would ask, Your Honor, I've spoken with the family. She has 2 signatories that are willing, friends who are willing to vouch for her and sign bonds. They're both residents of the metropolitan Atlanta area. To consider setting a bond not to exceed $20,000 aggregate on this. I think that ensures her return to court, her essentially reunification with children who are going to need a mother, and allows her to address these charges, which I think, when the dust settles on these, Judge, will turn out not to be what they appear to be on the face. So that would be our request.
Okay. Give me 1 second, Mr. Moran.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Moran, if I were to give your client a bond, do you believe that she would abide by a stay away provision to stay away from Mr. Isaac Chapman and Jeffrey Chapman and Labricia Sloan?
Absolutely, Judge. There is 0 reason for her to have any further contact with any of those individuals. 2 of those people, the Isaac Chapman and the female, were boyfriend, girlfriend, and she frankly has no contact at all, and had only known Jeffrey Chapman for perhaps 2 weeks. So there is no relationship and no reason for her to have further contact. And I feel very, very confident that she would comply with that, with the court's no contact provision.
Okay. Based upon the representations that you've made, Mr. Moran, I'm inclined to change my decision and to grant bond for Ms. Jackson. I am going to set a $15,000 bond on the aggravated assault charge, a $5,000 bond on the reckless conduct, and a $5,000 bond on the terroristic threats and acts. So we're going to have a $500 bond on the parking offense, $2,000 bond for the reckless driving, and $3,000 bond for the hit and run. So let me add this up.
Your Honor, might I, just with respect to one of those counts only, the hit and run count, the evidence is very, very clear from the police report, from the incident report on the DUI, that Ms. Jackson remained at the scene. There was no fleeing or leaving the scene. Police responded to a 911 call. Her vehicle was there. The other individual, I believe, who was involved in the wreck with her was also at the scene. So I would ask the court, with the court's perhaps grace and consideration, to perhaps reduce that, the hit and run charge, because the vehicles were both there at the scene when police arrived. And that's reflected in the report that I have. I've spoken with the family, and the reason I requested a bond in the aggregate of around $20,000 is that is about what the family has an ability to make at this point. This is a little higher than that, and I very much appreciate the court's consideration. But with respect to that count, if that might be slightly lower, perhaps $1,000 or $500, then that would enable the family to make this bond. I've also, just for the court's information, spoken with Officer Thomas, who was the reporting officer on the DUI. Spoke with him yesterday. He sent me this report, and consistent with the report indicates to me that both vehicles were at the scene when he arrived. Just for the court's information.
It says in the affidavit that I have for the warrant, the allegation is that she fled the scene. Your client allegedly fled the scene. So I will, what I'll do, Mr. Moran, is I'll reduce this to $1,500 on the hidden value.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I think that's an aggregate 29,000.
It appears to be, let's see, 15, 25. Yes, sir.
Okay. I think that they can make that judge.
Okay, she's going to have a preliminary hearing date that's going to be set for April 21st, but that date should be waived upon her bonding out. Is there anything else, Mr. Moran?
Nothing else, Judge, and I very much appreciate your patience and giving us an opportunity to hear on this.
No problem. That's what I get paid the big bucks to do.
Don't we all?
Yes. You have a good day, Mr. Moran.
All right, Judge.
Jackson, you're free to go back.
Thank you. And Judge, may I be excused, Your Honor?
Yes, sir. Have a good day.
Okay. Have a good weekend, sir. Good to see you.
You too. Okay, we're ready to continue on the ladies' side.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor, back over there, please.
Are you Miss Bailey?
No,
Give me your email.
Bergen.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong stack of paper. Ms. Bergen, you've been charged with one count of essentially use of a cell phone to facilitate a drug transaction. You're going to have a bond that's going to be set at $10,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, ma'am?
You said You said, can I set bond?
Do you believe you can pay this bond of $10,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're gonna have a preliminary hearing date that's gonna be set for April 21st at 8:30 in the morning, but that date is gonna get waived upon your bonding out. Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
I'm gonna get a lawyer.
Okay. Do you have any questions of me, ma'am?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back, Ms. Bergen.
Ms. Brown, Deja Brown.
Hi, are you Miss Brown?
Authorized agent for Ms. Brown, yes.
I'm sorry, you said you're an authorized agent for who?
For Ms. Brown, yes, that's my business. I do business under that name.
Okay. Ma'am, you've been charged with one count of driving on a suspended license. The bond is going to be set at $1,500. Do you believe you can post that bond?
Is it a percent?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now you said my license is suspended, sir, Your Honor.
That's the allegation.
Okay, the officer yesterday communicated with me that my arrest was for possession, and he said my license was valid.
Okay, are you Janelle Trinity Brown?
No, I'm Deja Brown. I'm the authorized agent, Deja. Officer, I think you got the wrong person.
Deja Brown, sir.
He said Janelle. He asked me, am I Janelle Brown? That's the lady they dismissed, removed out of here. I'm not.
This is Deja Brown, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, I apologize, ma'am. You've been charged with one count of possession of marijuana less than an ounce. The bond is going to be $1,500 for that. Do you believe you can post that bond?
Yes.
We're going to have a preliminary hearing date that's going to be set for April 20th, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
I can seek my own counsel, Your Honor.
Okay. If you don't have any questions of me, ma'am, you're free to go back.
I can already just walk away. I actually do, Your Honor.
Okay.
Just a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so with this, I provided when I was at my traffic stop, I provided my passport identification card that was not accepted. I was just wondering why not.
I have no idea. Those are appropriate forms of identification.
Correct. And okay, you answer my question. I can go on from there. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Brown, Janelle Brown. You go there. Don't let go.
Okay.
Tell me that.
My name
Janelle,
is Janelle Brown.
you have been charged with driving on a suspended license. You have a bond set at $1,500. Do you believe you can post that bond, ma'am?
I believe my bond was already posted, and they told me it was $1,850.
So what happens is this bond is what's called set by schedule, which means it's automatically set. The Sheriff's Department is required by law to add certain fees that I don't have access to. So that's why there's a higher number.
Okay, so it's not in addition to the bond that was already paid, right?
It is not.
Okay, Thank
Okay, so if your bond was already paid, the preliminary hearing date of April 20th, that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out, and you're going to get a new date in the mail. Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
I'll be representing myself.
Okay. If you don't have any questions of me, ma'am, you're free to go back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Deanna Chandler.
Okay, Ms. Chandler, you've been charged with several driving-related offenses, driving on a suspended license, 2 counts of not having a child properly restrained, improper turn, and failure to change the address on your license. So for all of these offenses, you're going to have a total bond that's going to be set at $3,500. Do you believe you can post that bond, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date that's going to be set for April 20th, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
I was gonna seek one, sir.
Okay, you're going to hire your own lawyer.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you don't have any questions of me, Ms. Chandler, you're free to go back.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Lawson.
I'm sorry, would you say that last name again, ma'am?
Lawson, but it's probably Dawson. It's supposed to be an L.
It got changed. I see where it was a D, but it did get changed. You've been charged with 1 count of simple battery, ma'am. You're going to have a bond set at $4,000, but there's going to be a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from Joshua Smith. Do you believe you can post this bond, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date that's going to be set for April 20th, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new date in the mail.
Okay.
Do you understand the stay away provision, to stay away from Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir.
Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Lawson, you do qualify for the appointment of a lawyer. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, ma'am?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Have your name, ma'am?
Dion Favors.
Ms. Favors, you've been charged with 1 count of battery. The bond is going to be set at $5,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, there's going to be a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from a Latoya. Do you understand the stay away provision?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, you're going to have a preliminary hearing date that's going to be set for April 20th, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out. Would you like me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Favors, you do qualify. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, ma'am?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Mark? Go ahead, go ahead.
Hey, you're Miss Martin?
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, you've been charged with 1 count of battery and 1 count of simple assault. I've set a total bond at $8,000, but I put a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from a Tonette Wooten and a Taylor Bergen. Do you believe you can post this bond, ma'am?
Mm-hmm.
And do you understand the stay away provision?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have a preliminary hearing date set for April 20th, but that date is gonna get waived upon your bonding out and you're gonna get a new court date. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yeah, I want one.
I'm sorry?
I want one.
Did you say you're gonna hire your own lawyer?
No, I want one.
Oh, okay. Okay, ma'am, you do qualify. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
You said my bond is 8,000?
Yes, ma'am, but as I said before, it'll be a little higher because the Sheriff's Department is required by law to add fees to it. So it'll be a little bit higher than the 8,000.
It's cool. All right, thank you.
Okay,
Your Honor, did you get my message?
I did.
Okay, I'm gonna step up there and I'll be right back.
Okay.
Hi,
Hi, tell me your name, ma'am.
would you repeat me?
Okay. Ms. Pinckney, you've been charged with 1 count of aggravated battery and 1 count of aggravated assault. Bond is going to be denied at this point on these 2 offenses. And there's going to be a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from Bernard Yearby or Yearby. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date that's going to be set for April 21st at 8:30 in the morning. You're also going to have a bond hearing date that's going to be set for April 23rd at 8:30 in the morning. And both of those hearings are going to be over Zoom like we're having here today. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, ma'am, you do qualify. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
Yes, I tried to file for a TPO against him and his whole family. Can I still do that?
You can apply for it, yes, ma'am, and you'll have a hearing on that.
They said the date was supposed to be March 10th.
For the TPO?
Yes.
If you're still in jail by March 10th, you still can have that hearing.
You said if I'm still in jail?
Yes, ma'am.
You just said I had no bond.
So let me explain something to you. This is a decision that's being made here today. That decision can be changed. Your lawyer can go to the district attorney's office and try to advocate for you to get a bond. Like, all I know about the conditions is what's written here on this paper. But, you know, everything is not always what's on the paper. I'm certain there are more things that are involved in this, and the lawyer can advocate on your behalf. That may be a quick turnaround. So you may still be here by March 10th. And if you are, you will be brought to have a hearing. It'll be on a computer like we're doing here now, but you'll have that ability to have that hearing.
Okay. Would it be able to be against my unborn child and my 3-year-old child? I want to protect all of us.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions, ma'am?
No, that's all.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Is that, huh? Is that any Butte?
I'm sorry, tell me your last name?
Butte? B-U-T-E?
Okay. Okay, ma'am, you've been charged with one count of battery. The bond is going to be set at $5,000. There's going to be a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from a Jaron or Jaron Arnold. Do you believe you can post this bond, ma'am?
Yes,
Do you understand the stay away provision?
yes.
You're going to have a preliminary hearing date that's going to be set for April 20th, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
If I see if I'm qualified for a lawyer, would I be able to still change it if I get a lawyer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yes.
Okay, you do qualify for the appointment of a lawyer. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions of me, ma'am?
If I still have stuff at the house, how would I be able to get my stuff?
Upon bonding out, make arrangements with the sheriff's department for them to come to your house so that you can remove the items that you need to remove, and they'll do that.
So I would have to have someone from the police department to go with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Any other questions?
no, that's all.
Okay, you're free to go back, ma'am.
Thank you.
Kristen Simmons, sir.
Ms. Simmons, you've been charged with one count of theft by shoplifting.
Yes, sir.
Bond is automatically set for this at $2,000. You post that bond, ma'am?
I'm not sure, there's no way possible it can get lowered. I have a medical issue with my wrist where I have plates in it. And when I told the officer, when he had the cuffs on me, it popped out. And they took an x-ray, but it's not wrapped, and I'm extremely uncomfortable.
Okay, this for certain charges, the judges meet and they set what's called a bond schedule. And so for this charge, they've set this amount as what they believe to be appropriate for this charge. So I'm not in a position to reduce it. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you currently employed, Ms. Simmons?
No, sir.
Okay. So you do qualify, ma'am. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any other questions for me?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back, Ms. Simmons. Tell me your name.
Easier Smith.
Okay. So you've been charged with 2 counts of violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act. The bond is going to be set at $5,000 for each of those counts. 1 count of crossing the guard line with contraband. Bond's going to be set at $5,000 for that also. And 2 counts of use or possession of drug-related objects. The bond for each of those are going to be set at $1,500 a piece. So you're going to have a total bond that's going to be set at $18,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, ma'am? Okay. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes.
You do qualify, Ms. Smith. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date that's going to be set for April 21st at 8:30 in the morning. That date will be waived upon your bonding out. I would encourage you to contact the bonding companies that are authorized to write bonds in this county. They will work with you. They'll put people on payment plans. That's literally their job, is to get people out of jail. So don't just resign yourself to sitting here in jail, okay? Do you have any questions for me, ma'am? Okay, you're free to go back.
Your Honor, I do have one more female that was just brought down here, the one I was telling you we was gonna do in another location. So
Okay.
she just made it down here.
Okay.
Put your hands behind your back and tell me.
Are you Miss Tillman?
Solomon.
Solomon, okay. Ma'am, you've been charged with 1 count of family violence battery. Bond is going to be set at $5,000 for that, and you're going to have a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from a Mercedes Maria Solomon. Do you believe you can post this bond, ma'am?
Yes.
And do you understand the stay away provision on the bond?
Yes.
You're going to have a preliminary hearing date that's going to be set for April 20th, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll receive a new date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? Okay, you do qualify, ma'am. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
Just how soon can I bail out or have someone bail me out?
It'll be today, and the way that this process works is, as you can see, this paper that I have in my hand, when I'm done with the hearings for both the men and the women, I prepare all of the paperwork and I send it back. So it generally takes about 3 to 4 hours after point for this to be entered into the system, because when I send it back to the sheriff's office, they then begin entering the information into their system. Okay. All right. You're free to go back, ma'am.
Are they gonna let me know?
That's all the females that I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You as well.
I'm ready to get started on the men's side.
Okay, Your Honor, before we get started, Bill, Jamar, and James Hamilton, both of them are in medical on suicide watch.
Okay.
I'll ask if you could just put them on the calendar for tomorrow.
Okay. I'll do a continuous order for both. That was Bell and Hunter, correct?
No, Bill Hamilton.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, and last name spelling BARAJASCONTRERAS. He B.O.B. before we started. B&B before we started.
Okay.
So the first one is going to be, Bailey, Mr. Bailey.
Okay. Mr. Bailey, you're charged with striking a fixed object, and you're also charged with hit and run. The bond for both of those offenses is going to be set at $1,500 each. And criminal trespass, damage to property, the bond is going to be set at $5,000 for that. So you're going to have a total bond set at $8,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date that's going to be set for April 21st at 8:30 in the morning. And that'll be over a Zoom hearing like we're having here today. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
You do qualify, Mr. Bailey. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. I would also encourage you to contact the bonding companies that are authorized to write bonds here, because they will work with people and they'll put you on a payment plan. Some of them will. So don't just resign yourself to sitting here in jail, okay? All right, you're free to go back, Mr. Bailey.
Next is Mr. Barnes.
Okay. Mr. Barnes, you're charged with 1 count of simple battery and 1 count of theft by taking. You're gonna have a bond set at $7,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Speak up. Yes.
Okay. You're gonna have a special condition on your bond to stay away from Glenda Grant. Do you understand that?
Sir.
You're gonna have a special condition on your bond to stay away from Glenda Grant. Do you understand that?
Sir.
Okay. The preliminary hearing date has been set for April 20th at 8:30 in the morning, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes.
Okay, you do qualify, Mr. Barnes. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Next is Mr. Bogert.
And that last name is Bodrick?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sir, you've been charged with 1 count of violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act and 1 count of possession of a weapon during the commission of a crime. The bond for both of these offenses is going to be set at $5,000 each. So there's going to be a $10,000 bond.
Yes, sir.
Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for April 21st, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
No, sir, I have a lawyer.
Okay. If you don't have any questions of me, sir, you're free to go back.
I do have one question.
Yes, sir.
In regards to possession, does that have more so to deal with proximity or like with it actually being on your person when searched or when charged?
It's proximity. There's actual and constructive possession. And constructive possession is that it's not on your person, but it's within sort of immediate reach.
Right. So that gives anything. So that's adequate evidence for anything that's near me, or to be charged with, is what you're saying. Anytime, if you're sitting in the backseat of a vehicle, anything in the backseat, you will be charged.
Yes, and you gotta just remember that these are mere allegations. So it's what you're being accused of.
Okay.
So the state is going to have to prove that.
Right. Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else?
That'll be all.
Okay, you're free to go back.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next is Mr. Hibbert.
Okay, Mr. Hibbert, you've been charged with 1 count of exploitation. I am setting the bond at $15,000 for this offense. Do you believe you can post the bond, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for April 21st at 8:30 in the morning. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you will receive a new date in the mail. I am going to put a stay away provision on this bond to stay away from Grace Williams. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you do qualify, Mr. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Next is Mr. Holloway.
Sir, Sir, you've been charged with 1 count of criminal trespass. I'm gonna set a bond at $3,000 for this offense. Do you believe you can post this bond, sir?
10% is 300?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, sir.
You're gonna have a preliminary hearing date set for April 20th at 8:30 in the morning, but that date is gonna get waived upon your bonding out. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
You do qualify. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Next is Mr. Johnson.
Hey, Mr. Johnson, you're charged with 1 count of violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act. I'm going to set the bond at $5,000 for that. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date that's going to be set for April 21st at 8:30 in the morning, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you do qualify, Mr. Johnson. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Next is Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones, you're charged with 2 counts of removing baggage from the luggage carousel at the airport and 1 count of criminal trespass. I'm setting the bond for all 3 of these offenses at $5,000 each, so that's going to be a total bond of $15,000. Do you believe you can post this bond, sir? Okay, you're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for April 21st at 8:30 in the morning, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
A lawyer?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
Did you ask me what is a lawyer?
No, you said a lawyer, I said lawyer.
I'm sorry, Deputy, can you help me? I can't understand, Mr. Jones.
Do you want a lawyer, yes or no?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, he does, John.
Okay, you qualify, Mr. Jones. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of Mr. Jones?
Yeah, you gonna get some. Go back to the door. Next is Mr. Reed.
Mr. Reed, you're charged with 1 count of carrying a weapon on public transportation. Bond is going to be set at $5,000 for that. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're going to have a preliminary hearing date that's going to be set for April 21st at 8:30 in the morning, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you do qualify, Mr. Reed. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
I do not.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Next is Mr. Parks. I skipped over him, y'all. I'm sorry.
Mr. Parks, you're charged with 1 count of hit and run, 1 count of following too closely, and 1 count of driving on a suspended or revoked license as a second offense. You're gonna have a $5,000 bond for the hit and run charge, a $500 bond for the following too close, and $3,000 bond for the second offense of driving on a suspended license. So that's going to be a total bond of $8,500. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date that's going to be set for April 20th at 8:30 in the morning, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you do qualify, Mr. Parks. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Next is Mr. Thomas Christopher.
Okay. Mr. Thomas, you're charged with trespass, damage to property. Bond is going to be set at $3,000. Do you believe you can post that bond?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for April 20th at 8:30 in the morning, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you do qualify, Mr. Thomas. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next is Mr. Thomas, first name spelling Jeray.
Sir, you're charged with 1 count of possession of marijuana less than an ounce, 1 count of concealing the ID of a motor vehicle, and 1 count of driving a vehicle with the expired tag. You have a total bond set at $2,500. Do you believe you can post that bond?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date that's going to be set for April 20th, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Thomas, you do qualify. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
Yes, sir. As of my ID, as of my address, how could I know y'all gonna mail the court date, but how can I'm not gonna be at that address, so I'm asking, is it a way I can get the court date without it being mailed? So I won't miss the court date, sir.
So currently, the April 20th date is gonna get changed. There are 2 things you can do. Either you yourself or your lawyer send a change of address notification to the Solicitor General's office with the current address. When you're moving, make sure you put a forwarding address if you have that in system with mail service. And finally, you can check on the county's website through their court information system and put in your name. And your charges are misdemeanor charges, so it'll be state court. And it'll have sort of an updated kind of as your case is moving through the system. So those are the ways that you can try to make sure that nothing falls through the cracks.
I appreciate it, sir.
No problem. You're free to go back, Mr. Carmen.
Next is Mr. Welch.
Mr. Welch, you're charged with driving under an influence of alcohol to the extent you're a less safe driver. Bond is going to be set at $5,000 for that. You're also charged with failing to stop or yield at a stop sign. That's a $500 bond. So you're going to have a total bond of $5,500. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date that's going to be set for April 20th, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, for the meantime, but I do plan to get my own attorney.
Okay. You do qualify, Mr. Welch. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
Yes, sir. The DUI, less safe, I'm not really familiar with that term. And well, my first question is it a felony?
No, it's a misdemeanor.
Okay, it is a misdemeanor.
Yes, sir. So the DUI less safe, it means that they believe that you were under the influence of a substance, either alcohol or a drug, and that made you a less safe driver. So normally that charge comes when you are speeding, or in this case, as they say, you ran a stop sign. So they say that, well, we either smell alcohol or we see indications that we believe this person is somehow impaired and it made this person a less safe driver.
Okay, does that automatically suspend my license as of now, or?
You will go through the same process as anybody who's charged with driving under the influence. Like, you have the right to an administrative law hearing to determine whether your license should be suspended or not. And that's something that you have to pay attention to. So I think you have 10 days after your arrest to raise a challenge to that. And if you don't, your license will be automatically suspended for 12 months.
Okay, so I'm just making sure I understand you correctly. So 10 days after my arrest, well, I have until 10 days to get in contact with Dion. Okay, who am I getting in contact with again, sir?
You should have received the form. I think it's called a 1205 form. There's a form that you should have been given that says that they're intending to suspend your license. Now, I have no experience with this during this COVID period of time, so they may not even be doing that anymore. But it's something that you have to receive notice of.
Okay. They still issuing me, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
That's it. The bond 5,500 and all, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right.
Next is Mr. Whitehead. As you sit down, I'll explain the 1205 to you.
Mr. Whitehead, you've been charged with improper lane change and tampering with evidence. You're gonna have a total bond set at $2,500. Do you believe you can post this bond, sir?
Yes.
Okay. You're gonna have a preliminary hearing date set for April 20th, but that date is gonna get waived upon your bonding out. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? Okay, if you qualify, Mr. Whitehead, I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
You said my bond is 2,000, right?
$2,500.
Okay,
You're free to go back.
thank you so much.
Last is Mr. Williams.
How you doing, Your Honor?
I'm doing well. Mr. Williams, you're charged with 1 count of theft by shoplifting and 1 count of loitering. The theft by shoplifting is the bond is automatically set at $2,000. The loitering, the bond is set at $1,000. So you have a total bond of $3,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yeah, I was out of work. I want to ask, was it possible for me to get an unsecured bond?
No, sir. You're gonna have the option of a bonding company paying the entire amount or using property.
Okay, so it is not possible for me to get one?
No, sir.
Okay.
Would you like me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you do qualify, Mr. Williams. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. If I didn't say it before, You're gonna have a preliminary hearing date set for April 20th, but that date is gonna get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new date in the mail. Do you have any other questions of me, Mr. Williams?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Your Honor, that's it.
Okay, let me just make sure I do my check. I have a Mr. BOJANG. Is he out to bond? Looks like first name.
Yes, sir.
And I have Eric Cotton. Is he out to bond?
Eric Cotton's out the bond. Mr. Falls, or whoever Connie Falls is out the bond. Fitzpatrick is out the bond.
Okay.
Gillis is out the bond. Last name spelling MCCALPINE. Michael Pine.
Okay.
Out the bond. Posley out the bond. Richie out the bond. And last name spelling WAITHE is out the bond.
Okay. And I think you had told me earlier the VARAJ.
Yes, sir, out the bond.
Out to bond, and Mr. Hamilton and Mr. Bill, I'm gonna have to do a continuance order for tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we got it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a good weekend.
You too.
And my birthday.